Welcome to MojoPlays, and today we're ranking every BioWare video game to finally figure out which game will be the one to rule them all. We'll only be covering the PC and console games for this list.
Humanity needs a hero, and Shepard's the best we've got.
I'll make the call.
Before we continue, be sure to subscribe to our channel and ring the bell to get notified about our latest videos.
Number 17, Anthem.
We got this, bastard. We have to get out of here. No. We push on. We're the only ones left.
If you know anything about Anthem, you won't be surprised to see it here. But chances are you probably didn't even hear about it. It's pretty safe to say, even as a BioWare fan, that Anthem is the biggest flop this legendary studio has ever come up with. Anthem actually garnered a pretty strong hype train leading up to its release. But the game was released with a plethora of technical issues, glitches, and one of the weakest narratives in comparison to just how strong their storytelling usually is. Because of this, it received negative reviews from critics and casual consumers, and they barely even supported or tried to further develop the game, which is a bit of a bummer when the premise is so good.
Look, everyone. I won't be here if I thought this song could beat me, right?
Number 16, Dragon Age: The Veilguard.
We shared a journey years ago. Do you believe that I would do this if there was some other better option?
Featuring a heavy shift in tone towards a more bright and less gritty ambiance in comparison to their older Dragon Ages like 2 and Origins. There's a bigger focus on the action in combat, sacrificing some of the tactical depth we've had before. And the story's pacing is a bit all over the place. It doesn't come together as well as previous entries. The game is also a bit smaller than Inquisition, but that might be a good thing in this case. It's more dense, and the smaller scale allows a bigger focus on the characters. In the end, it still feels smooth, looks good, and still has a bit of BioWare charm to it, however little that may be.
Blighted. Dead. All of them.
You gave them to the gods, didn't you? Didn't you?
Number 15, Mass Effect Andromeda.
We made it.
In an attempt to innovate a new gameplay system and perhaps move the franchise forward, BioWare gave us this. It has the hallmark features and staples of the previous games, but with the most fun gameplay systems yet. However, the story really missed the mark. It's not the worst, but it has some of the most hilariously awkward moments out of any BioWare game. Although, it gave us better exploration, combat, and actual detailed customization. But it was still a pretty big letdown for fans of the series thanks to its botched execution.
Sorry, my face is tired from dealing with everything.
Number 14, Shattered Steel.
Possible firing count going weapons up.
Alright, let's rewind a bit. Shattered Steel is the first big commercial game by BioWare. Essentially, the proto-mech game, it introduced completely new features to the genre and really shows off BioWare's creativity in a totally different light. You steer mechs known as planet runners and fight aliens. It has environmental damage, targetable body parts for limb damage, with a wide array of different planet runners to choose from. It even lets you make your own missions. In fact, you could enjoy those with friends because the game also had multiplayer. Maybe a little dated visually, but it was still a total hit game. Number 13, MDK2.
He was reluctant, but he had no choice. He was the Earth's last hope.
MDK2. A worldwide hit, now lost to time, it appears most people kinda forgot about this game. Super charming, super weird, and actually pretty challenging. The development of MDK2 is pretty interesting too. The first MDK was a hit, but the original creator Nick Brutti was busy, so BioWare ended up getting the project. Since then, it's become a total cult classic. It's hard not to enjoy this goofy and lovable game with its unique aesthetic and humor. And actually, BioWare developed a game engine specifically for this game, known as the Omen engine. It's just awesome to see a game like this not take itself too seriously.
A major setback for them, I'm certain.
Yeah, I'm glad it's over.
Yes, it's all over.
Number 12, Dragon Age 2.
What are you seeking?
The champion.
Which one?
You know exactly why I'm here.
This game was often criticized for recycling the maps and the smaller, more contained story. When you compare it to Inquisition or Veilguard, they're almost completely different franchises, with Dragon Age 2 being much darker and maybe a bit more realistic too. Unfortunately, you can attribute some of the criticisms to a rushed development, but it has one of the best casts in any BioWare game. It's more grounded, self-contained, and what many would say are the best companions in Dragon Age. And in typical BioWare fashion, they just nail choice and consequence in this game.
I had not thought to return in such a way. It is good to feel the breath of the Fade again, not the empty air of your world.
Number 11, Baldur's Gate. Baldur's Gate is the masterpiece that started it all. It's a timeless classic and is a cornerstone of the RPG genre. It masterfully manages to convert Dungeons & Dragons into a playable game, and there's no one who could do it better than BioWare. With an engaging narrative only able to be pulled off by them, the game boasts characters so well written they still hold up, and can be found in Larian's Baldur's Gate 3 20 years later. This game is an absolute must-play if you consider yourself a CRPG fan. Number 10, Star Wars: The Old Republic.
For 300 years, we prepared. We grew stronger. While you rested in your cradle of power.
Star Wars: The Old Republic, also known as SWTOR, is a 2011 World of Warcraft-esque MMORPG following the same style BioWare used with Knights of the Old Republic. It's the ultimate Star Wars online role-playing experience, as you get to select between Jedi, Sith, Trooper, Bounty Hunter, and more, each with their own respective storylines. Speckled with top-tier BioWare writing, you get to choose which path you go down, and so you can be an evil Jedi or a good Sith. It's still pretty good for its age, and you can play most of the game for free. Plus, who can forget those awesome cinematics?
You were deceived. And now your republic shall fall.
Number 9, Neverwinter Nights. BioWare would go on to develop the Aurora engine used in most of their 2000s games, one of which is Neverwinter Nights. But if you call this game a tech demo, you wouldn't be entirely off the mark. It was a full game, yes, but it was the first game of theirs using the Aurora engine. And one big feature of the game was the Aurora toolset, which let players create their own adventures using the engine, which was completely unheard of at the time. Today, we have lots of games that allow people to make their own user-generated content, but Neverwinter Nights was the first and best OG. And so it earns its spot comfortably on this list as a revolutionary title. Number 8, Jade Empire.
Sometimes all you learn in defeat is that you have been defeated. This world is out of balance. Spirits grow restless, and you have a role to play that I have kept secret.
After years of working with volatile IPs, BioWare decided in 2005 that it was time to finally make something that was truly their own again. This led to the creation of Jade Empire. It's an iconic BioWare ARPG with awesome characters, a strong narrative, and a well-written story. Imagine their Star Wars RPGs, but taking place in ancient China. That's exactly what Jade Empire is. It's a bit on the action side when it comes to their gameplay systems, and it's a pretty unique take on the genre. However, for its time, it was completely groundbreaking, from the completely unique setting to the unique combat system. Jade Empire is an absolute GOAT when it comes to BioWare games.
I learn something every time we meet, proving that loss sometimes is the best teacher. Thank the heavens the bruises are worth it.
Number 7, Mass Effect 3.
This isn't about strategy or tactics. This is about survival. The Reapers are more advanced than we are, more powerful, more intelligent. They don't fear us, and they'll never take pity on us.
Tying up the original Mass Effect trilogy, Mass Effect 3 let us choose the fate of planet Earth. The hard decisions and gray moral consequences come to a head as players will be faced with more difficult choices than ever. Mass Effect 3 takes everything we've had in prior Mass Effect games and turns it up a notch, with stakes being way more dire and intense. Will Shepard rally the rest of the galaxy against the Reapers, or does he perhaps look the other way? This epic wrap-up to Shepard's story earns itself this spot on the list.
And we will honor those who died to give us that future.
Number 6, Dragon Age Inquisition.
You still think I did this? To myself?
Not intentionally. Something clearly went wrong.
And if I'm not responsible?
Someone is. And you are our only suspect.
Dragon Age Inquisition won Game of the Year in 2014, and for good reason. Taking place after Origins and 2, we play as the Inquisitor, the Herald of Androst. Full of gorgeous areas and stunning VFX, Dragon Age Inquisition is quite a feast for the eyes. It's also just a huge game, with plenty of giant zones to explore. According to Mark Dara, Inquisition sales went far beyond EA's internal projections, making the game a massive commercial success. It might not have been perfect, but it was the best game of 2014 by a long shot.
I just want to help stop the war. Try to put things back in order.
A worthy goal, one I'm happy to support.
Number 5, Mass Effect.
I have been monitoring your communications since you arrived at this facility. I have translated my output into a format you will comprehend.
In 2007, BioWare entered a new era intent on pioneering a new style for their role-playing games. With one of the most interesting and unique settings ever made, Mass Effect takes place in the Milky Way galaxy in the year 2183. And it's executed perfectly, managing to create a world that feels like it exists outside of our playthrough. With a diverse, well-written cast of characters, awesome sound design and music, and a compelling story. Of course, it's not perfect and has been criticized for its less than stellar side quests. But for a new and fresh experiment, BioWare totally nailed Mass Effect 1.
I'm sorry. It is too late for me.
It's not over yet! You can still redeem yourself!
Number 4, Baldur's Gate 2: Shadows of Am. Baldur's Gate 2 is at the zenith of CRPG game design, expertly mixing a rich world with well-developed characters and a strong narrative. Add in all the gameplay and combat systems and you have a contender for top RPG of all time. And that's not even touching on the Space Hamster. As one of the earlier fully fleshed out RPG experiences that BioWare made, you can truly see the influence it has over their Dragon Age and Mass Effect series. Companions are well-written characters, the villains are strong, the voice acting is top tier, and the choices and consequences present in the game make it easily a better RPG than many modern RPG games. Number 3, Star Wars: Knights of the Old Republic.
Something tells me that you are not like the other students. I don't know why that is. I was right the first time back at the cantina, wasn't I? There is something different about you.
BioWare's first Star Wars game, Knights of the Old Republic, or as you might know it, KOTOR, set a new precedent both for BioWare RPGs and Star Wars games of the future. It was a massive success, both in sales number, but also with the critics. The early 2000s truly was the golden age of BioWare, coming out with their best narratives, best characters, all the while pushing boundaries in the RPG genre. Even today, it's still a solid classic, but for its time, its features were new and fresh in gaming. It might be one of the best written Star Wars games of all time.
Interjection. One moment. I believe I understood that, Master. It may not have been his intention, but he did actually communicate something.
Number 2, Dragon Age Origins.
It may even be too late. For I have seen with my own eyes what lies on the horizon.
Dragon Age Origins is by far the most beloved Dragon Age game of all time, and it's not hard to see why. It set a new bar for RPGs at the time, and it's still a total classic. Made with the older classics in mind, such as Baldur's Gate, it proved a grand and immersive world sprawling with amazing characters and complex narratives. It offers one of the most robust character creators of the series, and the story is BioWare at their peak. For these reasons, Origins is the best Dragon Age game.
He has a seemingly impossible task, with a scarce handful of Grey Wardens, yet he does not complain or flinch from his duty.
Number 1, Mass Effect 2.
I thought we'd be meeting face to face.
A necessary precaution. Not unusual for people who know what you and I know.
Mass Effect 2 is often considered the best of the bunch, and for good reason. It has parts that are masterclasses in game design and some of the best missions in the entire franchise. It took the core systems of Mass Effect 1 and doubled down all the way. The writing only got better and consequences only got more severe. While it lacks exploration and character customization compared to the first one, it makes up for it in basically every other department. Not only does Mass Effect 2 stand as BioWare's greatest accomplishment, but you'll find it ranked right at the top of many greatest games of all time lists.
Maybe you're right. Maybe we can't win this. But we'll fight you regardless. Just like we did Sovereign. Just like I'm doing now.
Which BioWare game did you play first? Do you play MDK2, or are you a Veilguard newcomer? Tell us down below.
Did you enjoy this video? Check out these other clips from MojoPlays, and be sure to subscribe and ring the bell to be notified about our latest videos.